Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming. 'Cause you can.
Hi, this is Nancy Earald, and welcome to Nancy's Psychic View on the high road to humanity. And I have a wonderful lady here today. Monica Esgueva is here today, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's really great to have you. Now, where are you today? Are you in Spain?
Yes, I am based in Spain right now.
Okay. And what's going on in Spain? Can I ask? What's the world? What's the way of the world there right now? How are things going?
Well, I think every day everything is global nowadays, right?
Right.
The same things that affect the US affect everyone else in Europe and elsewhere. So we are in the same boat.
It's crazy. Well, I'm really glad you're here today. You guys, she's written a cool book. It's called The 7 Levels of Wisdom. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm holding it up. Before we get into it today, I just want to remind everybody I'm going to Florida. I will be in Boca Raton, Deerfield Beach. I'll be at the Hilton, and I'll be teaching angel communication. And I'm going to teach everybody how to connect to source, how to connect to their guardian angel, and how to connect to the earth energies. I'll be speaking, and I will be doing angel readings this weekend, the 16th and the 17th. So come and see me. I'll be at the New Life Expo. It's the 34th year. So I'm really excited about that. The other thing I want to tell you about is my new class, my Angel Connection class. It is April the 13th, 20th, and 27th. Now, it's going to be 3 Saturdays in a row. It will be live. It will be with me on Zoom. And go to my website, nancyyearout.com. I'm really excited to teach everyone how to connect with their guardian angel. So this is going to be a big deal. So this is the first one. So you guys definitely join me. I'm looking forward to it. Now let's talk a little bit about Miss Monica here. She is a renowned self-development teacher. Let me just say, before I even get into this, she's got quite the extensive background. She's a spiritual guide. She's known for bringing the gap between Eastern and Western philosophies. She has a profound understanding of the mind, human consciousness, and spirituality. And she's been helping the transformation of individuals for more than 15 years. And God bless you for that, I will say, because it's not an easy path. Monica has been on TED Talks. She's been on a lot of shows. She's a prolific author. She has developed things in Spain, Latin America. She has a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's degree, and she was honored as one of the top 100 women leaders in Spain and one of the top 10 thinkers and experts awards. That's really cool. So congratulations for that. I have to say, you have quite the background. But tell us your story. What I'm really interested about more than anything is how you got into this, and you studied with the Tibetan Lamas. And I just think that's so fabulous. So tell us your story.
Well, I guess it's a long story. I will try to make it brief.
Okay.
I was born spiritual. I was born with a lot of spiritual awareness, and I used to ask my parents, where do we come from? Where is the meaning of life? When I was very young, and of course they couldn't give me a good answer. And I also had the feeling that I was not coming from Earth. I was coming from the stars. So I used to ask them about my origin. And I remember very vividly, still today, when once I asked that, and my father said, well, we picked you up from some gypsies under a bridge. And I burst out crying because like, they don't understand a thing, what am I going to do? It was really tough.
Oh,
So when I was 14, 15, I started reading everything I could find on spirituality, on spiritual traditions, transcendence, everything I could find. And I started with the Catholic Church because that was what was available at the time.
did you go to church? Can I ask that? Did your parents take you to church?
I used to.
Okay.
I was trying to find the spiritual side of me in church and the connection with a group of people that will understand my own sensations and certainties and intuitions. But of course, after a while, I realized that the church had not understood a thing about Jesus' message, and they
Right.
were not coherent. So I left, and I continued my own spiritual quest on my own, always on my own. And I remember when I was at school, I don't know, maybe I was 18, something like that. And our professor asked the whole class, what do you want to do when you grow up? And people will answer, well, I want to start a family, I want to find the one, I want to have a big house, I want to be a successful architect, you know, all those
Yeah.
things.
Right.
When it was my turn, I said, well, I want to become a wise person with a big heart. And then everybody looked at me like, where is this girl coming from?
That's crazy that you were that young and you knew. That is so awesome. That is so
I
awesome.
but I for a while I tried to fit in. You know, I followed the path, what everybody does. So I studied economics. I had my degree, my master degree, and I even went to work for Prada in London. And then I worked for an international business school in Paris. I married early, and I had a normal life, well off, because I was living in a very good neighborhood. I had a very good job, very good social life, good holidays, you know, like what most people aspire to in their lives.
Right.
And yet I felt so unfulfilled.
Right.
So one day I decided to go to northern India, to Dharamsala, the feet of the Himalayas. And I went there to do some research on Tibetans on exile, and most of them live there when they are in India. And I was planning to stay there for 3 weeks, and everything changed once I was there. I missed my plane. I ended up staying three months.
Oh my God.
I started my studies with Tibetan Lamas. I received teachings from the Dalai Lama, and I realized that those people spoke my language, and that was
Mhm.
not Tibetan, of course. It was the language of my heart,
Right.
and they understood me, and I understood what they were talking about. And their aspirations were the same ones that I had, which is have always been enlightenment and how to reach that inner peace that is beyond any external circumstances.
Mhm.
So I went back home. That was Paris at the time. And I realized that I could not go on with my former life. So within 6 months, I left my job. I left my husband. I left my house. I left all my plans, everything. I went back to my parents' house with whatever I could fit in a car, and I was willing to start from scratch.
Started
The
over.
only
I
thing I
love it. I love it. I think it's great. I had to do that too. I think a lot of us have to do that. I'm really glad you're here today. I don't want to interrupt your story, but I want to say that there's so many of us I can relate, and I know there's people in the audience that can relate to this. And it's changed your life for the better.
of course, I mean, I didn't regret it for a single minute, but I have to say it was tough in the beginning. It was not. For some people, it's easier. I don't know. They find that they can jump from one career to another. It was not like that for me.
No.
I not at all. I knew I didn't want to waste my life, but I didn't know how to earn a living, and
Right.
I didn't know how to do it. And well, it was all starting from scratch.
Mhm.
And what I did is I started getting training in the US and training in NLP, hypnosis, mindfulness in UCLA and neuroscience. And at the same time, I went back for 2 or 3 months every single year for a decade to continue studying with Tibetan Lamas and receiving teachings from the Dalai Lama. So I will be able to bridge the East and the West, because
Right.
that's how my mind works. And that was my main interest. So that's how it all started for me.
I love it. I just think it's fantastic. And you learn so much, and it's hard being down here. I just want to say that, it's really hard, and it's hard to walk the spiritual path. I can only speak for myself too, where, I was a real estate broker for many years. And then I wrote my first book, Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You, because I started like you to realize, wait a minute, I had a great job, same thing, exactly. I mean, similar, you know what I mean? And then you're like, but for me personally, and I think a lot of people, and you talk about this in your book, and I'm just going to read this. In the introduction, you say wisdom is achieved through struggle and sacrifice, and a few are willing to give up familiar views and beliefs because change is met with resistance. That was profound to me.
Always. It's
Yeah.
not easy because we love security, and we think that because we know what it our lives, if we go into the unknown, it's going to be worse.
Well, and
And I
people,
don't know why.
yeah, and people are afraid for you. I will say this, because like my kids are like, I've just written another book and, I'm doing my classes and I'm speaking. And they're like, Mom, are you going to be okay? Are you, like people are more afraid for you than you are for yourself. Did you find that too?
Well, I remember one time very distinctively. I went to talk to my father because my thing was not working. It took for 5 years until it really took off. So I went to talk to him, and I wanted to calm him. It's like, okay, Dad, even if things are not working out yet, I know they're going to in the
It will.
future. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
looked at me in the eyes, and he said, I have no doubt, daughter. And I was like, oh my God, he has more faith in me than myself.
That's wonderful. See, now I have to say that's wonderful. When I want to say something about making money doing this work, it's taken me a long time and I'm at that point and I want you to talk about it because you've obviously had experience with the Tibetan Lamas. But what I've learned is I have to trust God. I have to trust the divine and I have to trust the universe that they will reward me for the work that I'm doing. And that's where I'm at right now. And they're like, you got it, you have to trust. And can you talk about that?
Of course, I think this is a very important thing for people on a spiritual path that are taking a leap of faith like we did, because it's not easy at all. And we face that uncertainty many times, and insecurity, and we wonder.
I
we
know.
have we also have doubts. And I think it's part of the test of your commitment with your path, with your mission. And if it comes, what I have discovered in my own life and working with a lot of people is that if you commit with it and you do things from the right motivation, and that is a motivation to help, to be of benefit to others, when it's not coming from the ego
All right.
that wants recognition of followers or money or whatever, and you do it because you hear a calling, and it's the hero's journey that we all have to go through, and that calling is always transpersonal. It's not about the ego's desires. So when you're committed to that, then the universe has your back,
Right.
because what you are doing is of benefit, and it doesn't really matter if it is of benefit to one single person or a million people. The important thing is that you are doing it from that place, and that's why we have to take care of the motivation, and always question ourselves, what am I doing this for?
Right.
And if it comes from the ego, we should make changes because it's not the right motivation.
Right. And I think this is the time where a lot of people are waking up, and I have it right in my gut. I know you do too. I've got it right here. And it's like, I have to do this. This is what I have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And I think a lot of people are afraid. And I'm glad you said that. I want to talk a little bit about, you bring up in your book Abraham Maslow. He was born in 1908. He talked about self-actualism, completing individuality. And the reason I bring this up is because from all the people I've interviewed, from myself personally, and I know you know this too, we have to work on ourselves.
That's the only thing that matters.
I know. And you talk about this, and I thought that was really interesting. Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
I think we think that we are here, even the ones that take this spiritual path of helping others or healers, coaches, therapists, all sorts of people. We think that we are going to change the world, and this is
Yeah,
not true.
I do.
We are not to change the world. We are doing this because we have to do it on ourselves. And the best way to have a positive influence on the world is by changing yourself, by going through the transformation. And that takes a lot of mind training. And it takes a lot of courage to look at your own shadow and see what are your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities, and what are the things that you have not healed and the people you have not forgiven. And be very honest with yourself. And if you have jealousy, you have to face it as well. And you have anger, you have to face it. And you have to work on that, because it's about transformation of this emotional structure and your thoughts and your belief system. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of focus. And if we think that we are doing it for other people, we are wrong. We are doing it for ourselves first and foremost. And then from here, from our own person, our own self, then we can emit and we can transmit and we can share whatever we have conquered.
Right.
But if we do it out towards the outside world, we are missing a good opportunity to evolve, because we are taking it from a superiority level, superiority stage, and we are not superior to anyone else. We are just here humbly to do our best, and to change the world, you have to change yourself. And this is a titanic task. It's not a simple thing.
Well, and it's very well said, by the way. And we do have to work on ourselves, and I've done a lot of reprogramming, and, we all have to go in and work on that inner child stuff that happened when we were younger, and all of that. And I talk about that on the show, and I hope that people are starting to realize it's not a vain thing. It's not a me thing. It's something we have to do to elevate our souls and to bring our energy levels up. And, you mentioned, I didn't get to read all of your book, but I don't know, you mentioned the movies. I think what's really bothering me is I just watched the Oscars. I didn't really watch it. I don't watch all that stuff. I just kind of flipped through and saw it. But what really bothers me is that the movies that are coming out and the television that we see today is all backwards. We are trying to program our children and our people in the wrong way. And I think you did talk about this a little bit in the book.
A little bit. Yeah.
Do you want to
Not,
expand?
not much, but a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
because I just see it. It just drives me nuts, because it's screwing people up really terribly instead of helping them.
Well, I think it's social engineer. So something that is very, very clear. It's a social engineer. It's not something accidental. It's very well thought of, and you can see. There are three major asset management firms that control 90% of all the stock market in the US. Three. So if you take away, it's like only one of them, BlackRock, manages more money. Or, well, it will be the third country, if it was a country, after the US and China in managing money. So what happens is these three big firms own all the companies in the world, 90% of them. So they own the media, the mainstream media. They own the pharma world. They own everything. So what we see as two different opposite views, for example, in politics, it's all the same. It's controlled by the same people, So we have to realize that this is not something that happens by accident. It's very well planned.
That's right.
So,
that's right. And what do you think? And I don't want to interrupt you real quick, but I just want to say, I feel like it's to keep humanity controlled and down, because we are energetic souls. I mean, we're very powerful, and we have the ability to do a lot of things, and they don't want to let us know that. And that's what I think. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's like when you keep people fearful, then you can control them.
Control them. Yeah. Well,
when people are not fearful, then they can connect with the inner self, with the divine spark. And as you were saying, we are very powerful. But if we forget that and we are fearful, we decrease our vibration. And from there, we think that we are insignificant and we have no power and we are just victim of the system. It's
Right.
not like that, but you have to come out of that sort of
Mindset.
mindset
Yeah. Yeah.
and break it through. And it's like, okay, I am a sovereign being and I have the power to choose what I want and I need for my mind, my body, and my life. No one else, not authority, no expert can have that power over me. But this is a choice that I have to make. We have to make. If
Mhm.
you don't make it, well, then, you will be a victim and you will just do as you are told.
Go along with the sheep. Go along with the sheep. Well, you know, and I will say, I believe that, and I can't get into it too much on the show, but I do believe that COVID backfired because it helped people stay home and go within. And I just think that was divine intervention there because since I've been doing this show, I started in 2018. I will tell you that watching everybody, there's been a surge since 2020. There's
Oh,
been
yeah,
a surge in people waking
absolutely.
up and going within and doing this work. Have you seen it too? Yes.
Absolutely. And this is part of the end times.
Right.
The earth is through a shift. So what happens is when you have a lot of negativity and big challenges, well, some people will fall under the trap, but for some people, those challenges will just be like crossing
Like a
the
catapult.
exactly.
Yeah.
A door that will take you somewhere else, It's like it's the threshold. You go through the threshold and you go through an initiation because you can see through it. And then when you have so much negativity and big challenges, it's really very important that you connect with yourself and you listen to your inner voice because you have your inner guidance will never lead you astray.
Right.
And that's why we have to work on that inner connection with your guides, your angels, your higher self, whatever you want to name it, is the same energy. And we are always guided. Always. This is the trust that we have to have in the universe. We are always guided. We are not here alone. We are interconnected and we are part of the same oneness. So when you know that from your heart, then there's nothing to fear. You may
Right.
have difficulties, but there's nothing to fear because nothing is going to happen to you.
Right. And yeah, I will say that's true. You know, just doing this work, things, I went to speak in LA and the trip just went so smooth and so perfect. And it was like, wow. And that's when you know you are in the flow and you know the universe has your back because you're doing what you're supposed to do. But a lot of people come to me, and I'm sure they come to you too, and say, what's my life purpose? What am I supposed to do? But when you start doing this work, you realize what you're supposed to do. And then when you start doing it, everything changes.
Yeah. I think when people ask about that, and as you said, a lot of people have that question
Oh, yeah.
lingering in their minds,
Oh, yeah.
is I always say, do your inner work. This is your life work. And then once you are into that and you progress, then you see that you're making progress and then you will get the answers one by one. But it's not like you are going to see clearly the whole path
Yeah.
because then it will be too easy. And here we come for the challenges. This is like going through tests. If you know the answers, where's the merit?
Exactly. Oh, you're exactly right. Well, and I wrote down you were talking about the awakening, meditation, and Buddha, talks about reincarnation and karma. And we are down here to learn. I mean, this is school. We're in Earth school. That's how I look at this. I look at this as we're in Earth school. And whatever we do down here really makes a difference because when we leave here, we're going to go to wherever our vibration is vibing with,
Exactly.
and so
But I will say, Nancy, that the way I see it, I don't even see it as a earth school. I see it as a boot.
as
I
a,
think this as a boot camp
a
because
boot
it's
camp.
so
Okay.
so difficult here. It's the vibration is so low, and humanity are in such a low consciousness level that this is very very difficult, and you are plagued by negativity and instead, the society, the culture we live in, instead of helping you grow and evolve, that's the opposite. It's like it tries to brainwash you into becoming an achiever and just being obsessed with material
And money.
possessions.
Yeah, money and things, which do not bring people happiness. They're completely
not.
unfulfilled. Yeah, exactly. You know, and not to get on my own soapbox here, but this is why I'm teaching people how to connect, because we've lost our connection to God, to source. You can say, you know, whatever, that love vibration, we've lost it. We're these energetic souls, and we're supposed to be connecting. And the same thing with the earth energies. I feel that way very strongly. Do the Buddhists talk about the earth energies? What do they say about the earth evolving? Because I'm really interested in what they say.
They don't get into anything that is metaphysical,
Okay.
because the Buddha said that he doesn't say it is real or not. What he says is, okay, here we have to focus on mind training and train our hearts. So it's like, if you get in too much into what is the reality of this, this is not real for them. This is samsara. This is, for me, I call it the matrix.
The matrix.
So it's like,
yeah.
don't get too entangled with seeing what is real or not, what is the metaphysics of it is not their concern. And they only focus on, okay, train your mind, train your emotions, and make sure that you get to enlightenment as soon as possible. So you cease suffering, and you start helping others as much as you can. And that's their focus, the whole focus.
Live by example. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And as we were saying, work on yourself. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
It really does. It's absolutely the truth. And we need to teach our children this. You know, I just really feel that, you know, because it comes from the ground up, and we're not teaching our kids this stuff in school. You know, what motivated you to put
Yeah, you know, we are not teaching people
that?
all the basics about that, because parents are not embodying it. So if parents are not embodying, how are going to do it, you know, from childhood? What are parents teaching children, and what are they allowing to happen in schools?
Well, yeah, and I'll even talk about my own grandchildren. I have a grandson that's very psychic, but my daughter doesn't really like it. But I'm here. So I try to influence him a little bit, because she's worried about, because he's young, you know, he's like 14, 15 years old. She's worried about what the other kids will think. But in my mind, it's like, it's a gift.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big gift. So it's hard, because a lot of
Support our children, you know, many of the children being born now are psychic, and I prepare for the new earth, but they need the support from their parents, and their parents need to get their act together instead of being obsessed with materiality and
I
material
know.
success.
I'm with you. I am with you completely. I agree with you. Now, is it that way in Spain? Is it the same way as it is here?
Worldwide, unfortunately.
I hate that. Well, I started to ask you, you know, you put this together, the seven levels of wisdom. And what really inspired you to put this together? I wanted to ask you that. We got to get out of here in a few minutes. I know you have an appointment, but
It was actually an inner calling. I was traveling. I travel a lot, and I was traveling in Mongolia. I was in the Gobi Desert, out of all places,
oh my God.
and I received this inspiration that I had to write this book, and it had to be in English. And it's my first book written in English. All the previous ones, the 8 previous ones, are in Spanish, because I had to reach to a global audience, and it was important at this time. But you know, as everything, it was challenging, because I wrote the book, and it took me 5 years until someone was interested in it, a
Oh my,
publisher. Really.
well, I'll tell you what, you have a really great publisher. You're with Oh Books, I would imagine, yes. And
It
they're
was Mantra Books. It's another
yeah,
it's
and they're
another
yeah,
but same.
yeah, they're wonderful. I want to say Collective Inc. They're really a terrific company. And so I want to give them kudos, because they're publishing my angel book, and all the people that they have sent me and all the books that they represent have been amazing. And yours is Of course, it goes along with it. You know, tell the audience, we don't have a ton of time, but what are you doing and how can they right now, and how can they get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Well, they have my website, which is Monica Esgueva, as you said it in English, .com.
How do you see it? How do you pronounce it properly for us, Monica?
Esgueva,
Say it again.
Esgueva.
Esgueva. Okay.
But that's okay, you know, whatever. And I what I do for now is one-on-one coaching. I have been transformational coaching for 16, 17 years now.
Wow.
And I lead retreats and I guide retreats and I also teach workshops. So I'm just going with the flow and I'm here to serve and I'm here just as a vessel of something higher, and whatever they want me to do, that's what I will be doing.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm really glad you came on the show today. You guys, her book is called The 7 Levels of Wisdom. It's a path to fulfillment. What do you want to leave us with today before we get out of here? Any inspiration that you want to leave us with?
Well, maybe we can leave with a quote, and I really like this quote from Indira Gandhi. She used to be the Prime Minister of India,
Mhm.
and she said, it is a great privilege having had a difficult life. And I think this is so inspiring. We try to have an easy life without realizing that we are fortunate to go through all the challenges because this is how we evolve. And by doing that, by overcoming the challenges, by overcoming the hurdles, we become better people. We become more expansive and deeper. And then this will take us to a better place when we leave this earth. And even here, we can help more as we develop. So I think I like to say it's a big privilege having had a difficult life.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I'm sure the audience needed to hear that, and I needed to hear that too. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. All right, you guys, we're going to get out of here. I hope everybody has a fabulous week. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone take care and God bless.